Hey guys, in this video I'll show you how to set up a code review process using pull requests and branch policies on Visual Studio Team Services. Welcome back. Having a good code review process will dramatically improve the quality of your code base, and we will see how you can set this up on Visual Studio Team Services. The two main features we will be using to set the code review process is pull requests and branch policies. Branch policy is a way of protecting your important branches, and it will allow you to have some constraint and control to make sure the quality of the code is maintained. Let's see how we can set this up. I am now logged into the Visual Studio Team Services account, and I'm in the build and release project that we have created in the previous videos. And now I am in the branches section, and you can see there are a couple of branches created. The master branch is there, and we have a couple of release branches and one branch for bug fixing. So we are deploying using the master branch, so we need to protect this branch to make sure whenever we merge changes in, those changes are up to the quality standard that we require. So the first thing is to set up a branch policy to make sure that the quality constraints are set for this particular branch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button and go into menu, and in this menu I'm going to click on branch policies. Now you are taken to the policies section for the selected branch. We have selected the master branch, and here there are several different configuration options that you can set up. So the first one is require a minimum number of reviewers. So if you select this option, you can define a specific number of reviewers that must approve the pull request. So if you set up minimum number of reviewers as one, at least one member from the team must approve the pull request in order for it to complete. And there are several other sub options here as well. So you can check if the pull request, if the user who is making the pull request is allowed to approve the code changes as well. So I'm going to check this off because I'm the only one who's in this current team. And you can allow completion of the pull request even if the reviewer's voting stage is on waiting or reject. And this next option, you can reset the code reviewer votes whenever a new change is published to the pull request. So if there are any votes already in, if you make a change and push that change, those votes will be reset. And the next option is you can select to check the linked work items for a pull request. That means if you are managing your work items in VSTS, when you create the pull request, you can link all the work items that is related to the change that you are making. So if you check this option, those linked work items will be checked as well. And the next option is check for comment resolution. This is really important because while the code review is in progress, there will be discussions going on, there will be suggestions for some changes that are included in the code review process, and you should make sure that those comments is resolved. That means the actions are taken and those actions are tracked. And if you select this option, all comments must be resolved for the pull request to be completed. So you can have two policy requirements. One is optional and the next is required. If you select required, if there are any active comments, then the pull request will not complete. And you can also enforce a merging strategy. So you have two options. One is the squash merge, and the next is no fast forward merge. So we are going to select the default option here. And the next thing that you can do is you can add a build validation as well. So that means you can attach a build definition to make sure the code is built, and that is selected as a criteria to complete the pull request as well. So you can click on this build validation and add build policy button, and you can select a build pipeline that is already existing in this project. So if you click on the drop down, we have only one build build definition at the moment, so I'm going to select that. You can add a path filter, it is optional, and you can select the trigger, so if it is a manual trigger or an automatic trigger. So we will keep the automatic trigger in place, so as soon as the branch is updated, the build will be triggered. And the policy requirement is we are going to set this as required. That means the build must pass in order to complete the pull request. You can set this as optional as well. And the next is you can set the build expiration. So you can set this to couple of options. One is whenever the master branch, which is the branch that we are attaching this policy, is updated, the build will expire. And the next option is you can define a certain number of hours where if those time period is elapsed, then the build is expired. And the final option is you can select never if you don't want your build to expire. So I'm going to keep the default value here of 12 hours, and I can add a display name that is displayed in the pull request section for the build. So I'm going to add PR build here, and I'm going to click save. And the next is you can add approval from external services. You can configure this as well. And the final option is you can add automatic code reviewers. So for example, if you in your team, if you have a particular person who must approve or must see all the changes that is going through, and must approve all the changes that is going through, and you can add that person here. So if you click on this button, you can search for reviewers. So I'm going to search myself, and I can add this user, and you can enforce the policy requirement by adding required optional. So you can include a custom message here as well, so that person is notified with this particular message. So you can save this, and finally once all the configuration is completed, you can click on save changes, and then this branch policy will be attached to your branch that you selected. So I'm going to navigate back into branches, and now you can see that there is a special icon appearing here that denotes that is a branch policy attached to this master branch. And so the next thing is we can test this out using a branch that we have created. One more thing, we have selected this particular build definition. So if you look at the build definition that we selected, we are selecting the same build definition that we created for our build and release pipeline. So in this build definition, there are a couple of steps that we don't want to be included in the code review process. One thing is this copying of ARM templates and publishing the artifacts. So if you don't want these two steps to be included, we can conditionally exclude them depending on if this build definition is triggered using a pull request or a normal trigger. So how you do that is you can set up a custom control options, a custom condition, and in the control options section you can go into run this task and select the custom conditions, and you can add the following custom condition. I'm going to paste this in, and this basically says if execute this task if the previous task is successful, as well as the reason for build, that means the trigger is a pull request. So if these two conditions are met, then this task will execute. So if this is happening from a pull request, this task will not execute because this is not equals. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this again and go into publish artifacts, and I'm going to paste this in as well. So basically, if this build definition is triggered by a pull request, the copy ARM template task and the publish artifact task will not execute because we don't need them since we are not deploying from the pull request itself. So we can change this. The normal way of executing, that means executing by a trigger, will definitely work. It won't change. This will only affect the pull requests. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a small code change. In fact, I have already done the code change and I have committed it. So in this I'm in the current branch, bug ID 123. So if you look at the git logs, I have done a change the description, but this is not pushed at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this change, and now this change is on VSTS. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the pull request section in the Visual Studio Team Services project, and here you will be notified that you have updated this branch, and you can create a pull request from here. So if you click on this create pull request link, you can create the pull request, and you can select the target branch for the pull request. You can add a title. So if there are multiple comments, if there are multiple commits, you won't see this. Since this is only one commit, the title and the description is automatically populated. So you can search and add any additional reviewers that you want. Since I have already added a default reviewer, we don't need to do this, and you can just create the pull request. So as soon as you create the pull request, you can see that the build is executing, and you can see all the policy requirements that is needed for this pull request to be completed. So at least one reviewer must approve this, and the required reviewer has not approved yet, and all comments must be resolved. So for example, if I go in and add a comment here, I'm going to add a comment, and if you go back to the overview, now you can see not all comments are resolved, and this will not allow the pull request to be completed, and the build is in progress. Once this is completed, this will be ticked off. So since this code review process will take some time, you are able to set autocomplete for this pull request. That means once all the policy requirements are completed, the pull request will auto merge to the target branch. That means you don't have to worry about coming back and completing the pull request. The pull request will be automatically merged. So you can click on set autocomplete, and you can select there are several different options. You can select to delete the source branch once the pull request is completed. So I'm going to select those options, and I'm going to click on set autocomplete, and now this pull request will autocomplete once all the requirements are completed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to resolve the comment that I added as well, and I'm going to add done here and reply and resolve, and once that is done, this all comments is resolved. Now that is checked off, and I'm going to approve this code change as well. So now you can see the required reviewer and the minimum number of reviewers also is completed. So now we can wait till the build is completed, and see that the pull request is completed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this in progress build, and it is now actually executing. So we'll come back once the build is completed and see how this is going on. Now you can see the build is completed, but this copy ARM template and publish artifacts tasks, both of them are skipped. That means since this is triggered from a pull request, those two tasks will not execute. So now you can see, if you go back to the pull request, you can see that the pull request is completed and it is automatically merged, and the branch is also deleted. So if I go into branches, you should not see the bug branch that I have created earlier. So the important thing is, once you have attached a pull branch policy to a particular branch, you will not be able to directly push changes to that branch. So if I try to push changes to the master branch from my local machine, it will not allow me to do so. And now since the code change or the pull request has completed, it has automatically triggered the conventional build that we have attached to this. That means it will build the project and publish the artifacts that is created as well. So you can also attach branch policies to folders. So what we have done here, we have attached a branch policy to this particular branch, but you can also see a folder structure here. So if you prefix a particular branch in Git and push it to VSTS, it will actually use that prefix as a folder structure. So for example, I have this folder structure created for release branches. So if you have a particular branch policy that you want to attach to all release branches, you can do it by attaching this branch policy to the folder itself. So you can do that by clicking on here and selecting branch policies, and you will be taken to the same window or same view that we used to configure the branch policy for a branch. So you have the same exact options, and you can use those to configure the branch policy for that folder. So that is basically how you can set up a code review process using branch policies and pull requests. And hope this video was helpful. So as always, check the description of the video for the links to reference documents, blog posts, and any other related materials. If you like this video, click on the like button and help us out. Subscribe to this channel and leave a comment on the video. Your feedback is always welcome. And thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.